is that you're invisible. You can be in a room with...
At 80 years old, Maryann says something most people don't expect, that she's become invisible. But her story isn't about fading away. It's about everything life taught her through success, loss, and the challenges no one prepares you for. And if stories like this matter to you, make sure to subscribe so the next one doesn't go unseen.
Well, what's it like to be 80 years old? I told you when we started this that 80 meant that you became invisible if you were a woman. And I think it's really true. Men get better looking and women get looking old. And so I made it really my goal, if you will, that as my husband and I were going into seniorhood, that I was going to take special care of myself. That I was going to see that in my budget I spent enough money to have lovely clothes, because clothes do make a man. I had my hair done, got my nails done, took care of my personal things. And I was hoping that that would keep making me not be invisible. But I did find out that that's good for you, because it warms the soul to know that you're taking care of yourself. And we all have this idea of what it's like to get old. Some people read the obituaries every morning. I don't. I live each day as if it is my only day, and I make it the best that I possibly can. But there have been many rough patches along the way. I never told you that when I started working for Avon, when I had gotten promoted to one of my higher posts, I had also, on my 30th birthday, been diagnosed with Myasthenia Gravis. And myasthenia has been a blessing as well as a curse. The blessing is that by having it and going through it, you help other people who are going to be getting it or go through it. And you can help those people so that they can help understand the disease. It's a neurological disease where the synapses of the liquid secretion off the nerve ending jumps to the muscle to make your muscles move. Now, if you have myasthenia, it's usually generalized to your eyes or your limbs or a particular area. When you have gravis, it means of the brain, which means that it pretty much wants to wipe out your whole body. And it is very mean. It does do that. In many cases, such as mine, they find a tumor in your thymus, or where your thymus gland was. And the thymus gland is used through puberty, and then it's supposed to poof, eradicate itself, and leave your body because it's useless. Well, in some cases, the unlucky cases, it causes myasthenia or myasthenia gravis, because it eats up the electrical solutions in your body, and you don't have any electrical solution anymore. That means that you're going to catch probably all the nasty that's coming outside. If there's a flu, if there's a cough, if there's anything, you're going to get everything, because you just don't have the ability. You don't have the ability in your immune system to fight it off. In my case, I was walking along, going to the food store, when I looked in the food store window, and my face was totally it was just distorted everywhere. And people looked at me and stared at me, and it scared me to death. I didn't know what I was looking at. By the time I got in, I went back into the ladies' room and looked at my face, and it was sagging, but it didn't look funny anymore. So I did my shopping before I went home. Shortly in a time after that, maybe within a week, my voice changed completely. When the myasthenia wanted to rear its head, I'd go from talking like this to you to talking like this, and I had no choice. It also meant that I couldn't eat meals because my jaw would disconnect in here, and my teeth couldn't come down at the same time to chew. And lettuce was the worst thing that ever was created, because it made your teeth slip, and you were finding that you were swallowing your full whole, and then that just was horrible. Well, I went to every doctor in the Kenosha area. And I mean, I literally went through the phone book and they all told me to go home and must be psychosomatic. And I told one doctor, I know it's not psychosomatic because I don't make up things. I'm not looking for attention. I want to be healthy. But there's something really wrong. Well, my mother was with us one Thanksgiving, this Thanksgiving of this year. And she was with us. And at that time, she had been working in a hospital. And as I was serving them food and talking to them, my voice changed. And then when I tried to eat, she was watching me and she said to my husband, take her to the hospital, to the emergency room right now. They'll see it. And my husband took me there. And to my good fortune, there was a doctor there, Dr. Yale Garrell, who was from New York City. And he just happened to be in charge of the Myasthenia Foundation. Wow. And he heard me trying to talk like this, and he walked in the room and said to my husband, would you mind if I give your wife a tensilon test? And if she has what I think she has, we will be able to count back the seconds to know how severe this is. And then we're going to have to start looking for a tumor. Well, within 3 seconds of counting backward, I was talking normally. My eyes were going up and down, and my ears were twitching, and everything was just moving rapidly. And he said to my husband, I think you have to keep your wife here. And so I stayed that day, and for 2 more weeks, I had test after test. And they weren't as advanced as they are these days. But there wasn't much attention given to myasthenia gravis. No one knew about it. And I had a spinal tap every evening. That was my closing moment because they would keep giving me spinal taps. Well, they found it on the day before I was supposed to go home. They came at night to my bed, the doctor and his nurse, and they said, we want you to take these papers with you because you're going to need a surgery and we're going to set that up. Well, lo and behold, they did take out a tumor that was larger than a football. Wow. It covered my heart, my lungs, and went into my brainstem. And to this day, it's still on display at the University of Wisconsin Hospital. It's been a rough road, but through it all, that's what was my determining factor, that I wanted to do good, that I wanted to succeed, that I wanted to be able to share the blessings of having this disease so that other people would learn from it and maybe help them or their children. I made all kinds of plans with God to, if I do this, maybe you will take care of my children, make this well. And I learned the hard way that you have to stand on your own 2 feet and be strong. This is not a world for sissies. You have to be your own person. So back to being 80. So after all this time, I can tell you I took prednisone for 46 years. And what happens with prednisone is pretty nasty. In my 80th and 79th and 78th year, all these sores started popping out all over my body because all the things that you would have been immune to, if there was any kind of disease at all, you would get it and you would be housing it in your body until the time that prednisone finally left your body. But seeing as I had taken it for, my goodness me, almost 50 years, it waited a while before it came to the surface. And it's had a lot of things like it's eaten my ear, the inner canals of my ears. So even though I couldn't hear, I couldn't use a hearing aid because there was no tin pan or handle. So that's fine. So they went in behind the back of my ear, near my brain, drilled holes, and rebuilt me inner ears. I've had tumors taken out of my brain, all as a result of prednisone. I replaced my knees 5 times. I replaced my hips. I rebuilt my right leg. I've had toes removed. It's been a long struggle, and there's not a part of my body that hasn't been surged because of prednisone. So it's a sad and a good thing. The good thing is it kept me alive. And I'm here to see my grandchildren get married, which to me is the most wonderful thing in the world. Because my daughter gave me 3 children to watch. All 3 of them are beautiful people, wonderful people. They're good citizens, and it's all because of my daughter. My son has been the light of my life, as I know he's busy taking care of people as a doctor. He has called me every night since his father died 6 years ago. And he takes care of me in his own way, even though it's long distance. He always makes sure that I had a good day, that I've seen people socially, that I'm eating right. So even though I'm invisible, there's someone there who knows I'm still here. I've had a lot of fun being 80, because now I can look back with wisdom on some of these things that have happened in my life. And I can guarantee you that the Lord does have a sense of humor. And I've also learned how much Jesus does love me, because I would not be here without that support of knowing that he's never asked me to do anything that he hasn't done. So it's a wonderful blessing in its own way. I don't know how many more years I have, but even as an invisible woman, I know I will enjoy them, because I've had the journey, I've walked the walk, and I've covered this world